businessman. Yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman. Yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman. Yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Crystal
and Coach Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic, and I'm wondering, co-host, are we live? Are we live?
yeah, we're live.
I guess we are live.
We are live. Why you don't feel live?
I didn't feel live at all. So.
Yeah, we're live.
How
Hello,
you doing,
everyone.
co-host? How
Are
you
you guys ready for a weekend to celebrate your moms? If your moms are here, and I hope if your moms are not here, you'll have some moments to have conversations with them. My mom is not here. Your mom is not here.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll be having some deep discussions with my mom this
You
week.
gonna have some deep discussions with your mom. Yeah, I have deep discussions with my mama all the time.
You
But
know,
for those of you
she looks just so much like you, man.
who,
Your mom, she looks so
oh
much
yeah,
like you. You know, it would be nice to still
have
have her
have, have
here.
met her. Yeah, she's just
Yeah.
like me, actually, just like me, to be quite honest. But here's the thing: we even have our voice is the same, and I remember when I was younger, and I was staying with we were together, and one of the guys I was dating at that time, my mom picked up the phone, so he thought it was me, and he just started talking, and
Holy moly. I hope he wasn't saying anything inappropriate.
he was about to say something inappropriate, and my mom went, "No, this is not Crystal. This is her mother. This is her mother. Stop this." He was so embarrassed. He said, "Oh my God, your mother sounded just like you," and he just went right on it, dude.
I'm sure he probably didn't show up to the house for a long time.
Well, he was a little sheepish when he did show up. He felt a little embarrassed. He says, "Oh my God, oh my God."
and,
He says,
and
"I'm not calling. You call me. I'm not." Oh, and that was like before we had cell phones and all that sort of stuff. And he just went
so
on into a conversation as if he was
I thought
talking
he
to
was
me.
addressing her as ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am, because he know he missed.
Right, exactly. And I had told him because my girlfriend sometimes would not be. I mean, they would call and they would think it was my mother, and so but they were friends, and my mom knew them. They were like her other daughters, so it was no big deal for her. But for them, hey Pat, how are you? For him, that was a different story because they weren't going to be saying anything that they were going to have to be embarrassed about when they actually saw her.
Oh man.
Ah,
Hey
yes.
Sinclair, how you doing? Welcome to the Business Zone. I hope you're feeling a little better.
I-
Sinclair's a little under the weather, so
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I call Pat Sinclair. So
Yeah, well, Pat, I hopefully you will feel better. It looks like we're gonna have a great weekend in honor of Mother's Day. But yeah, so moms are very, very important to everybody, I would hope. But my mom was pretty special to me. She was my
yeah,
best friend, and
yeah.
so this is that time when you do miss your parents, right? Your moms.
You know, a lot of people, and I got to touch on this a little bit, man. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're coaches, we're business coaches, and we help small businesses to become business ready, contract ready, and loan ready. And we also help them to become grants ready if they're looking for grants as well.
Right.
Now, in the marketplace, a lot of people keep talking about do we need men or do we need women? I think that's a stupid question, and whatever answers we get from that, I think they're stupid also, because we should know that we need men and we need women. That's how this world is going to progress.
Well,
Now,
one is needed. One can't do without the other,
right,
and the next generation can't come without one or the another.
exactly.
But there is I guess in the tech world, or the tech people seem to think that they can create a
Uh-uh, They're never ever going to do that.
and
Never.
they will never need a woman. But what isn't there that what's that experiment? When I was in when my degree was in child development, um, uh, Pavlov's dog, that children
Yeah,
that are not cared for and loved and don't feel the comfort of the mother or the
right,
mother's heart. I mean, obviously because they're housed there for
right.
for for 9 months. And if you don't give a child love and affection, uh, that child will grow up like the president, because that's
Yeah.
what happened to him. His
And
mother
you,
was kind of cold.
and you know what? You know what's amazing, co-host? Even if the mother turns out to be horrible and rotten, the
Yes,
child will always remember good things about that mother. Always. You see what I'm
always.
saying? Because
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of crappy moms out there, right? But the kids, they still gravitate towards them. They'll still defend them. They'll still do all these things because, like you say, they established that bond like 9 months ago, before they were born, and they were connected that way. So it's like that's the only other human being that they know,
Yeah.
So they can't really, it's like you can't really deviate.
Oh no. I mean, children, babies. When they're in the mother's womb, they know her smell. They know her. Just the essence of who she is all there, and of course that's how they are initially fed. So even when children are, daddy girls or what have you, or daddy boys, when they're at a certain age, mom is what they gravitate to, and especially
Yeah,
they know that mom is how they get fed. Mom
right.
is how they get taken care of, and so they're always looking like that. I think I saw something the other day um, with a child that had been in the or he had been abandoned when he was when he was a baby, and he was in a foster care and orphanage and all that sort of stuff. And the movie was, he had been bounced around all over the place, and finally one day this woman, uh, he was placed in a home, and the mother, this happened to be somebody that was really doing it for the right reason,
Yeah,
and she just hugged him, and he just started bursting out crying, and she was like, "What is the? Are you okay? You can be. This is safe, right? You can be okay here." And he was bawling, and finally, when he finished crying, he says, "I have never had anyone just hug me for the sake of hugging me, and I
all
felt
right.
warmth. I had never felt that." And so he just kind of melted to that. He said, "That is what I always imagined having a mother would be like, is that they just really
A
care."
lot of people wouldn't understand what a hug means sometimes to people. There are some people who abuse the hug sometimes. They get a hug and they just do crazy things. But there are real people out there, man, including myself, who, when you get a genuine hug from someone, a mother figure, an aunt figure, or even just someone, you
Right.
know, who appreciates you, it means so much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like yeah, like a lifeline when you feel that hug. Yeah, and even adults, as we, I don't care how hardened we are,
yeah,
we need a hug,
yeah,
or just somebody that's other than yourself that says they care about you. So that's
yeah,
so important. And so whoever that person is, I know when my mom passed, if it hadn't been for my aunt, so I celebrate Mother's Day for her as well. She got me through it, man, because I would have, and she was very much like my mother as well. They were
yeah,
best friends, and
yeah,
and it's I have cousins the same thing. When their mother passed, my aunt, she's like our surrogate mother. All of us that
yeah,
lost our mothers, before, um, and she was the so she's the there's only two aunts left, but she's the one that is still completely healthy, and so all of us, my other cousins, she became all of our surrogate moms until we were able to leave the nest again after our moms passed away. So that's we all
I,
got
I
that with
I
her.
think, man, there's a lot of craziness going on out there in the marketplace and in the world. And I just hope that the women in the marketplace really realize that how important they are to the current generation and to the next generation. And don't get into that stupid stuff that they talk about on social media all the time. I don't need a man, or I don't need this. So it's just, or it's something. I'm a strong, independent woman, so therefore I don't need anybody. I can do it myself. No, nobody can do it by themselves, and
No,
that's
and I think when she said, well, yeah, and women shouldn't say that because I mean, you may be able to take care of yourself,
yeah,
but it's about being loved. It's about
yeah,
having somebody care about you and providing safety, a safety net for you, no matter you have a hard day and you come home and there's that person that really, really
yeah,
genuinely cares about you and don't want anything from you
right,
and they're just, baby, did you have a good day? I thought about you all day. Just those little things right there. I
yeah,
don't care if you are as a female that you run your own office. You got 4,000 employees, but they're your employees.
yeah,
This is business.
yeah,
When you come home, that's your sanctuary. That's where you're
yeah,
supposed to be refilled and the love is there and you can bounce anything off of this person and without judgment or
right.
without them, right? Because they love you, right? so
See, that's
so
the key right there. Without judgment, that
without
person is
judgment.
just kind to you, nice to you. The person recognize that you've been working hard all day. Hey, would you like me to go get some food for you? Would you like me to do something for you? You know, uh, bring your slippers, or soak your feet in some
Right,
warm water
exactly,
and
exactly.
Epsom salt. you
Right. And I think when you're not in a relationship, you kind of it's like those little things like that, right?
Yeah,
Those little bitty things that I mean, you
exactly.
can do everything else for yourself, but those little bitty things, or you're at the office and you're just going through it, and all of a sudden you get a text and he's like, "Hey, baby, you okay?" Or "Hey,
Yeah,
baby, you and whatever,
yeah,
right?" And love you, or a little heart, or a little
yeah,
whatever, right? It makes your day, and you're like, "Whew,
yeah,
okay, I can go back into this battlefield."
yeah, man. So I used to remember, man, when I was younger, my mom, when I was going to school, or if I was going on an outing trip,
Mhm.
she would put like a little note in my pocket. That just made my day.
Oh, and yeah, you open, and you dig in your pocket, and
Oh
some kid is bullying you. Like, oh
yeah,
wow, my mom, right? Because she's thinking about you. She
yeah.
can't talk to you, but
You see
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, man. Well, there's nothing to replace a mom. Even a
Yeah.
bad mom is nothing to replace it. But you
So,
just have
so
to.
happy Mother's Day this weekend when it comes, and to all the mothers, and I'm sending this out to the two types of mothers: the good mother, the good mothers, and the horrible ones. Hoping that the horrible ones would really recognize that they're really needed and they have value to the family, and just try to change our horrible ways, and maybe just change one thing at a time. You don't have to change everything. Just change one thing at a time. Be a little nicer to someone. You don't have to cook for them every day. Just be there to talk to them, have a nice little conversation, because that's why women were made for men, to be a comfort, a support for them, and men was made to protect the women,
Mm-hmm.
provide for them. You see what I mean? And together nurture and take care of the family. So
Right.
I'm just hoping that we get back to that somehow. So right now, there's a little crazy thing going on out there in the social media market, and it's because there's some crazy people who decide to get on there and say silly things.
Well,
And
there's this trend, I guess, going on that well, first of all, I think it's just it's a socialization issue, right? So there are a group of men that don't quite never learn how to socialize or how to talk to females, and
yeah,
so and they feel that women have become the enemy, but women are not the enemy. I mean, it says it very, yeah, a helpmate. The God
yeah,
man, when he made when he made the world, and he made Adam, he looked
yeah,
at Adam and he looked at this beautiful world. He's like, this is not enough, and then
yeah,
make a woman for Adam because he needs to have a mate. And
yeah,
so it says it in the Bible very clearly,
yeah,
the very first part in Genesis, when he was making all of the world. So women and that female spirit and that energy is there. Jesus is, confidant with Mary,
yeah,
Magdalene, and so they don't really talk about it in the Bible, but she was. She was his helpmate for him. So there's a reason for that. So you guys, you're a little confused. Go back there and read the
yeah,
Genesis, and then while you're at it, jump on over to the lost book of the Jubilee, and you really understand why he did what he
yeah.
did. So
That is true, man. And you know what's amazing? Even if you never learned this before, just the fact that as a man, you're around a female and you see that feminine energy, that softness, that that nice, kind support, it makes you feel special. It makes you want to do things for her, your mom, your wife, your sister, even your daughter, you want to do things for them, and it's just amazing. It's amazing, man. And I'm sure a lot of men who run the streets and all of that. After they have a little daughter, I'm telling
oh
you,
yeah, I have
they're
some
gonna
friends
be
that had little
so
girls. Oh my God, they became whole other people, man.
they're gonna be so different, man.
Oh yeah, boy, because now she's a little jewel,
Oh
and,
yes.
and we have a guy at the park, and he's really tough on his daughter, and I last week my sister was really really upset about it. I said next week when he does that, here's what you do: you ask him, would he be okay with a man saying that to his daughter? Because him and his daughter
Oh,
like
see,
this, but
see,
but he's always so tough on her. And so I
yeah,
said, so that'll stop him in his tracks. He'll
right.
realize that she looks up to him, and his wife actually had the child for him because she already had children. She had no intentions of having any more children,
And he is her hero. You see what
and
I'm
she
saying?
is her hero. And so I told her, I said, you next time he says he does what he just did, you
Yeah.
ask him, is he okay with somebody with a with when she starts dating? Will he be okay with a man? And then the other side of that is a a girl child learns what type of man she should be with
Her father.
from the father, and the same
Yeah,
thing a
yeah.
boy child learns it from looking
From his
for that
mom.
mother
Yeah,
figure, right? Looking for that someone that's very much like his mother. And so if you don't treat your daughter right, then she's gonna think that anybody else could treat her like that. So
yeah.
that's all we're gonna say. And then we're gonna go on getting ready for our topic, but I do want to say mothers are not necessarily the person that carried the baby in her on her with her in her body. Mothers are your aunts, your sometimes your sisters have
Yeah.
become your
Your
mom,
grandma,
your grandmom,
even
your
your
aunt, your
neighbor,
great, the
even
neighbor, the
your
godmother. These are mothers.
I remember
Somebody,
when I was in Panama, man. I had a neighbor, man. She was just so phenomenal. She was like an aunt and a mother to me. Like she would call me every day. Do it, Gilbert? Do you have dinner? I'm going. Why is she care about me so much. It's like I appreciate it so much. And I would tell her, yeah, I have dinner. She knew I was lying. She said, stop lying. You know you don't have any dinner. You come on over here and join us for dinner, man. I'm going, oh man, this is so amazing. How did she know that? You know?
Because she felt it. She felt it. You were away from home. You were not in Jamaica. you were in Panama where you didn't know anybody. So she became your surrogate mom.
Yeah, man. Moms are amazing. I also wish that society would create a somewhat of a balance and give credit and respect and flowers to the dads too. Because I think that would help to encourage a lot of dads to be better parents, be better dads. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they just don't. They just treat them like aliens and criminals, and then because of that, a lot of them do the bare minimum. But I would love for them to show some more respect to the dad, so then together you can have a stronger family unit. You know, I,
Oh
I
yeah.
yeah, I love family. I love
Well,
the
family
the
is,
mom and the dad, with the kids. I just love that. So,
and that's your rock of Gibraltar,
oh
Gibraltar,
yeah,
your family, and that kind of ties in our conversation today.
yeah,
Is the fact that we as Black Americans or African Americans or whatever we want to call ourselves, in this country or in this world, period, and that family unit is really important. And even
yeah,
during slavery, you know, and the the colonizer definitely wanting to keep you separated from your family for
yeah,
whatever for their reasons, their purposes.
yeah.
But we just got that pull. You have a pull that draws you to that person that really loves and cares for you. So
Yeah.
and so before we jump into it, Pat said messing in God's business isn't wise. You are so correct,
Yeah,
Pat.
that's when we were talking about those tech people trying to create
Right.
moms
Anything,
and
man.
families and babies. They're gonna try to do that, but you can't get rid of the organic approach.
Well, first of all, Pat is absolutely right. That's not that's God's place. That's his
Yeah,
that's his business. He was the
yeah,
one that created human, and I
right.
and I can guarantee you it will not go unnoticed.
Yeah, exactly,
and,
exactly.
and it will be swift when it comes. So be careful messing with his work because
I
his work.
think a lot of us will be against that. And when I say a lot of us, I'm talking a lot of minorities because the blacks would be against it, the Latinos would be against it. I'm sure that, well, maybe the Asians will be against it too.
No,
Because
their families are very important to them as well.
yeah.
Extremely important to them.
Right. Well, the reason I hesitate is because most of these robots are coming from China and Japan.
Oh well, yeah, well,
Everyone's creating a lot of those. So I kind of hesitate a little, but maybe most of the population, will agree with us that hey, you
oh
can't
no,
replace
you can't replace humans with robots.
yeah with robots. So
Yeah, no, that won't work at all. All righty, so our topic today, guys, is about we kind of alluded to it last week when we had our conversation on the
yeah,
voting rights and what that really meant. When we had our guests on Leo and Gilbert, some of this stuff Gilbert talked about last week, so it does play into this whole the strategy that is used against Black people in this country. But
yeah,
there are some things that we have not done as well, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the
yeah,
topic is what if there was a 10% shift in how we thought, how we spend our money, that could unlock 180 billion dollars in Black America that could be reinvested back into our communities. So just
mhm,
think about that for a minute, guys, because that's what we're going to talk about today. But we're going to we're gonna do our little station break to have you go over to our YouTube channel and Gilbert, so take it away from there, and then I'll bring up our QR code.
Okay, so again, for those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Business Zone. We are broadcast every Friday from 3 to 4:30. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, and we're on all of those other channels where you have a podcast. So we're here to help small businesses become business ready, contract ready, and funding ready. And we're also here to help nonprofits as well. I'm hosting a mentorship program, which is scheduled to start on June 9th until August 25th. That's June 9th to August 25th. It's called the Next Level Contract Readiness Mentorship Program. We just graduated 17 amazing entrepreneurs in February, and these entrepreneurs learned a lot of key things that will help them to get government contracts. They've developed the competency to do that. They learn how to write proposals. They get sample proposals. They also learn how to do a statement of qualifications. Of course, they get samples on that and templates. How to write a capability statement. They receive samples as well and guidance on that. How to look at their financials. And that would be looking at the balance sheet, looking at the profit and loss, and also the back office. What goes into your back office? How do you store your key documents? How do you access your key documents? And the readiness aspect of it, we have assessment tools that help a small business. It can tell you whether you're ready or not. Not too many small businesses know whether they're ready or not, but this tool will tell you. So then you can go with confidence to a contract provider and say, yes, we are contract ready. So those are the types of things that we do here on this Business Zone. Me and my co-host, Coach Crystal, and Coach Crystal, she runs and manages a youth entrepreneurship program. It's called BizCamp. And is it in session now, co-host?
Actually, we are. Our kids are. They just last week they had a competition. Last
Oh,
Friday, Saturday they had a competition for Biz Institute, and now we're preparing them for competition on the 16th, and they're
mm,
doing the citywide competition. And then if hopefully three of ours, or at least two of ours, will be selected for May 29th.
ooh,
That is the regional competition. So hopefully they'll
where's
be
that
there.
going to be in New York?
No, the regional is going to be at El Camino College
Oh, okay.
on the 29th of May.
Yes.
And then if we hopefully we will, and from there, any winners from the regional, then they get to go to New York. And then I
Oh,
guess I would be going to New York in November. I think
mm,
that's when they're looking at, the date is November. So I
I
don't know
love
how we're gonna do that, because I like the way it was last year. It was in October,
it.
and then
Yeah,
straight from the competition, I flew to Cairo, because I'm going back to Cairo, to Egypt this year to see
right.
the babies, and that worked out well because
You
they both
said
up there.
babies. You
Oh, the
said
two,
babies.
yeah,
That
the
means
daughter and the grandbaby.
oh, okay.
Those are my
I thought
babies.
she had a little sister. I'm going, what? When did
No,
that
no, no,
happen?
no, no, no. The daughter and the grandbaby, and so I'm going to see them because the grandbaby turns 4 in July, and so I didn't get to see her last year. I didn't go. I didn't go last year. I went the year before.
So when are you going to bring your daughter over here, man? You got to bring her and introduce her to the business world so we get to meet her.
I know, huh? Well, we right now the daughter has a freedom to come because her dual citizenship allows her to do that. The
Oh, good.
grandbaby, we got caught up. We were in the process of making that happen. You have to certify children that are born of an American citizen. So my
Yeah,
daughter is obviously an American citizen, but the
yeah.
baby was born in Egypt. And so even though she has automatic birth rights,
Yeah.
at least at this moment, you still have to certify it, and it has to go through the system. And so it got caught up just at the same time he came into office, and right now I'm very fearful of
Yeah.
starting the process up again, and I don't
Well,
want her in the system right now.
just wait 2 years, man. Just wait.
Yeah,
Well, a
I'm
year and a
waiting,
half.
so I
Year
can't
and
have
a
her
half.
in the system.
Yeah, just wait a year and a half, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, so that way, then I will bring her. She will be coming. Both of them
Yeah,
will
man,
come.
I love to see her.
Yeah, Lily is always saying, Nana, I want to go to Disneyland. I want to go to America." And so, and I think my daughter would love to come back and touch feet on land over here as well. But they have a
That's
good life over there. I take
that's
care of them over
good.
there.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, so
So you want to tell them about how to subscribe?
yes. So, guys, go over to our YouTube channel. It's really important in order for us to uh, get uh, likes and follows, and to stay relevant, and eventually monetize this platform. We'd love for you guys to hit that subscribe button. You can do the QR code here. That will take care of it as well. And if you like the segment today, then by all means hit that like button, follow us, and join the Business Zone family. You get coaching from two individuals that absolutely are passionate about the work they do in their community, and it doesn't cost you any money here on this site, on the Business Zone podcast. It does cost you money if you come to us in person, though.
You know what I'd love for our listeners to do?
What?
It's to challenge us, and see if what we're saying is true. See if and say, okay, I'm going to take you up on this. I want to book a half an hour coaching session and see if I really get it for free. Do that, guys. Just test us and see if we really get to deliver what we're saying.
I got such a compliment from a client. She had posted something on Facebook a number of years ago. A number of years ago, I she had a vision board party, and she asked me if I would speak to her for her. And this young lady, actually, I was invited to speak at, I don't even remember what the event was. It was like 25 years ago. That's how long
Mhm.
ago it was. And I guess it resonated. And so, um, fast forward to last year or 2 years ago, she found my number. I guess she was cleaning out some stuff and found my phone number. My number's been the same forever. And she
Wow.
called. She goes, "I've been looking for you. Oh my God, you spoke at whatever this event was. And I knew that you would just help me with my business, but I couldn't find your card. And now it was like 10 years later, she finds my card. So she's been my client since that time. And I coach
Mhm.
her. And so on Facebook the other day, she found the picture, and she uploaded, and she goes, "If you guys want your business to be successful, you want to be successful, you want to be motivated, you guys need to go to the best coach in this city." And she was like, "That's my Crystal." She's
Yeah,
like,
I love it. I
that felt
love it.
good.
I love
and,
it,
and
man.
Pat's over here. She says that about you all the time. You're the super coach.
Pat and Izette, man, both of them are my favorite. I want to say clients, and proteges, because they've done pretty much what I instructed them to do, and they're seeing the results. In some cases, things may take a little slower than normal, but they're putting in the work, man, and I really appreciate them for that. They are actually what would I call examples of what a ready business should be like,
Yeah.
or contract ready, or business ready type business should be like, because they put in the work. They know exactly what's needed. And there are businesses out there, co-hosts. They've been in business for over 20 years, 30 years, and they still don't know what it takes to be contract ready or business ready. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
oh my gosh, tell me about it, man. I have clients that fit that category. All right, let's talk about our show. At the end of the show, I got something to share about one of my kids that he just 13 years old, 14 years old, and already a young businessman. But I'll share that at the end. But let's jump into our script. So, guys,
I got a
last week,
question for you, co-host.
yes, yes.
So I don't know what your spending budget is, but what if I ask you to shift 10% of your spending budget to somewhere else? Do you think it would make a difference for that person, those folks, or that entity?
No, not at all. I mean, technically, we should be doing 10% to a church. So, I mean, to somewhere, right? You have to tithe, right? The 10%. So, no, I don't
Exactly.
think
I
10%
think it
off
would, though.
your.
I think it would, co-host. I think it would, because not only would you shift 10%, but you're going to give them 10% of your time also. You're going to give them coaching. You're going to give them guidance. So it would make a big difference. So
Oh, yeah,
that's,
there. That, you mean, far as,
yeah,
yes, that would make a big difference. As far as, being to the positive, you're saying, not to the
yeah.
negative, to the positive.
So
No, you're
that's what
absolutely
we're
correct.
here to talk about today. What if the government decide to shift 10% of the spending towards small businesses, minorities and small businesses? Would that help? And we have some data here today, guys, that we're going to go over. So my co-host and I, we're going to present it to you on a platter, and I want you to start thinking about this stuff. Think about it.
Right. And it's also about reinvesting in our own community, really,
Yeah.
because that's really what we should do. So last week we made an announcement. Well, we gave you a fact or a figure that Black Americans, African Americans, actually are considered the actually this is the around the world as well. We actually create. We have buying power that equates to just about 2.1 trillion dollars, right?
Mhm.
At For many years we were stuck at 1.3 trillion dollars
Yeah.
as a consumer power, and now magically we have increased that substantially, and
Yeah.
we're at $2 trillion.
Well, we're going to
So
point trillion, huh?
yeah, so that is actually the equivalent of most nations' GDP.
Yeah.
Just all us, just by ourselves, and we're not even 13% of this country, but we
Mhm.
managed to spend more than almost trillions of dollars. But the
Yeah.
sad part about it, Gilbert, is the medium income is
Yeah.
$44,000.
Oh my Lord. It's still at that. Remember when we were at the Poetess studio? It was at 44K. And now this is what, 6 years later, 6 or 7 years later, and it's still at 44K. That is
Yeah,
crazy.
that is crazy. So that's what we're going to talk about. So that shift is not necessarily from the government. That
Yeah.
shift needs to come from us. We
Yeah.
need to shift, and instead of buying products from everyone else, then we need to look at reinvesting that into our own community. So I'm gonna let you kick it off, Gilbert, and then we can jump off into the topic. Hopefully this resonates with you guys. We're in a time when life is changing. There's a transformation that's taking place in this world, and so I think transformation has to take place within us, in our culture, and our
Right.
people.
Hmm. Well, if we're going to start with a headline, the headline is that um, there's a $2.1 trillion in annual spending that Black Americans generate. So if we're going to use that, let's say that the annual buying power is at 2.1 trillion. What that really means is that we're not economically powerless. In fact, we are one of the most influential consumer groups in the world. Now, a lot of folks don't see that because they never thought about it. So I want folks to start thinking about it. And I'm not trying to be, being separating from the other minority groups. I just want you to know these are factual data. So we want to be able to utilize that kind of data and let it grow and let it provide some more prosperity for Black American entrepreneurs and economic powers. So, in the Black community in America, there is that amount of power that we have, and it's absolute. What it's doing is, in just a few years, because it jumped from 1.7 trillion and now it's at 2.1. So, like I say, it went up. It went up what? Like four
Went from three to it went from 1.3
to
to
point
two.
four, point
So that's what
four
it's about
trillion.
seven
Yeah.
trillion somewhere around. Well,
Oh, yeah,
no,
yeah.
about
No,
eight
point four, point four. So
point
it's
four, right?
1.7. 1.7 plus 4, 2.1. So that's what that is in spending power. So it's growing. It's growing. We're developing that. We're making more money. But what do we do with the money? As we know, we said this on the show over and over, the Black dollar stay in our Black community only 6 hours. Only 6 hours. Everybody else's dollars stay 3 weeks or longer. Well, the Latino dollar stay 2 weeks, 14 days. But the Jewish dollar, it could be anywhere from 21 days to a month.
Yes.
So go ahead, co-host.
No, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
It's their dollars stay longer. In the
yes.
white communities, it's unlimited. So
So
in our dollars,
what we should be doing is to study those groups and see why their dollar is staying longer in their community, even if we don't want to do anything about our 6 hours that we have, our little 6 hours of dollar being stretched in our community. Just observe what the other groups are doing and try to find out why. Well, if you do some research, you'll find that part of the reason why the dollar stays longer in their community is because when they receive their dollar, they generate their revenue, they spend on other Jewish business or other Jewish or other Latino businesses or even Asian businesses. They spend on those businesses. Uh, when was the last when was the last time you saw an Asian at a mechanic that wasn't Asian? When was the last time? You never see that. You
no,
never
you
see
never see that. You never ever see that.
that.
You
And that's
don't see
because
them at our
yeah,
banks. You don't see
exactly.
them at our cleaners. You
Right.
don't right. You don't see them. So and not too many other people either. So
Exactly.
that creates a problem. So that means that you give them your dollars,
Yes.
then they take their dollars and take it outside of your community.
And then they spend it among their groups.
In their community, they go to their supermarkets, they go to their cleaners, they go to their they buy clothes from their community, their small
Right.
businesses in their community. And so that dollar over there is getting recirculated. Your dollar is getting
Right.
recirculated many places because your dollar is spent everywhere else but within your community.
Exactly. Exactly. So those are questions I want us to ask ourselves. Why is that so? Because sometimes when we ask questions like that, and we kind of figure out why it is, then it helps to curb our behavior and make us do things a little differently. But if someone tells you, hey, you can't be spending your dollars in other areas in other communities, you should be spending it in yours, they're going to go, who are you to tell me that? But when they start seeing the damage and the deficit that's occurring in their own community, believe me, they will want to spend those dollars. Like, for example, co-host, you're doing a great job with your program, Recycling Black Dollars, because you have a directory of Black and minority entrepreneurs
Yes.
who folks can reach out to if they need services. You know, if they need consulting services, professional services, construction services, they reach out to that directory, and they can solicit contractors or vendors from that, and that's one of the things that will keep the dollars a little longer in our community.
And you know, Gilbert, so I am the co, as you just mentioned, I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars. And this organization was started 35 years ago
Yes.
by Muhammad Nazardine. And he truly felt that if we just put our 10%, and even at that point, 10% back into our community, it would change a lot. It would change home ownership. So if you guys are looking behind our heads, if you look at the the orange, look at the orange line on the chart behind your head, and that would be us. And so in 2007, we did have homes. 2008, there was a housing crisis. And so this is the problem with us not reinvesting back into our own communities, because when it's a small, for everybody else, it might have been a small housing problem.
Right.
For us, it was a pandemic, right? So as you can see, all the way over to 2016, we were losing steady at that point in time. Now everybody else had some dips. Look at the dips for the blue line, which is the white. They stayed steady. Even I think it's the Asian that's on behind our heads. They're on that side, so they kind of stayed. They did a dip in 2013, but then they rose back up. We are still trying to rise back up in 2022, and that's for home ownership and stock ownership. We're kind of like in the middle of the range there. And as you can see, just on the top line with the white communities, they are, stock ownership. They own assets. We don't own assets. So when we look at our that 2.1 trillion dollars, those are not assets. That's buying. That's buying products and so forth, but no assets. You cannot put that on your balance sheet, right? Because it has no value to it.
Right.
And so, but it's making everyone else's balance sheet look really good when on the net asset, man.
While ours stay dormant.
Right, ours stay. And then business ownership. And this one is really kind of devastating, Gilbert, because from the beginning of the emancipation of our ancestors, what was their way out once they became free?
Once they become landowners, man, and become entrepreneurs.
They had their own businesses. That is what really brought us all the way up to the 60s, because our ancestors had ownership. Look where we are now.
Yeah.
Look in 2016 or 2019, actually.
Yeah.
What the heck happened? Now we're on our way up. But how the heck did we not get? We should be way up at the top.
Right. Yeah,
way up at the top.
Should be. You know what's interesting, co-host? I was looking at the dip in home ownership, right? Which occurred back in 2013.
Right.
If you notice, the Hispanics, the Asian, and the white they dipped around about the same time. But our dip came at 2016, which was 3 years later. So I don't know what we were doing. And even their rise is much higher than ours. Ours is more like a progression in a slanted type approach there.
Yeah.
The second graph right there.
Right.
You see that? It's like, kind of like a bell curve, upside down bell curve. You know, it's not really much of a ascension, going
No,
up.
it wasn't. It wasn't. No, there wasn't any continuity. Right. We didn't.
Right,
We didn't
right.
maintain. So, which means that we bought homes, but we we were spending all our money elsewhere. We
Yeah.
weren't. We weren't saving. We had no stock ownership. We had nothing that at that time when that happened, we ended up losing our homes. There
And
was
I
some other
think
things going on as
I
well, but
think
there was, yeah.
I think we need to address the elephant in the room though.
And what's
Because
that elephant?
I think we're unruly spenders. When we get some money, the first thing we're thinking about is buying jewelry and clothes and cars and stuff that are depreciating assets. They're not really appreciating assets, they're depreciating, like clothes and jewelry and cars. These are the folks, like you say, they're investing in stuff. They're investing in stocks, they're investing in business ownership. They're growing while we are just lollygagging around. Instead of buying homes, we're renting. You know,
Right.
there's no way we can maintain a society that continuously grow and we recycle our dollars that way. If you constantly spending, you see what I mean?
Yeah. No, you can't just spend and not, again, you and I both, the financial piece is our thing, right? So when you look at a balance sheet, when I'm working with clients, the P&L is fine, but the P&L is just the profit money you didn't brought in, and the expenses and what
Yeah,
your net revenue is after all of that, right? It's the
yeah,
balance sheet that tells the true story, right, of what you're doing and how you're maintaining in the real, right, in real time. And
yeah,
so if you don't have any appreciable assets other than your vehicle. And trust me, guys, your house and your vehicle, unless you have the pink slips of both of those,
yeah.
they're not yours.
They're not.
So they're a liability. They're not a asset. And so when you look over here, Gilbert, a couple of things happens with the home ownership.
Yeah,
We in, so with the Hispanic or the Latino population, they will all come together. They'll live all together, pile
yeah,
all their money together,
yeah,
help that one person who has the great credit. They go get a house, right? And then it's like they help each other to be able to get houses and to be able
the
to buy property.
Asians do that
And
too.
Asians do that as well.
I
We don't
don't
want
see
to
us,
live with
I don't
anybody
see us doing any of that.
because we don't want to live with anybody. We want it by ourselves. We don't want to, oh, I can't be living with my family.
I'm
Well, maybe
fine by
you,
myself.
but if you live with your family and what you would pay for rent, put that in an account in a stock or a CD, but mostly buy stock with it, you can increase that, right? You can increase that. Now you got your down payment. In between all of that, you could have been working on your credit. This is the thing that I have when I do capital workshops, and I do a lot of them for the Urban League. Like last month, I had a workshop on finances every single Tuesday night, and
Yeah.
now it's moved into Tuesday and Wednesday night.
Oh Lord.
On the fact of how do you position yourself to be credit worthy, right? Which is in your world, contract ready, right?
Yeah.
And always that stumbling block is the credit, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Credit because you had credit when you were 17, that you you had to carry that bad credit with you when you're 40 or 50. You had
Yeah.
opportunities every 10 years. You have opportunities to refresh if you have
Yeah.
to, right?
Yeah.
But you cannot continue to do the bad habits that you were doing before, right? You got to be able to realize what the problem was, how you got here, and now let's correct how we got here and be able to move forward, right? So
Right.
so some of that is just many of us did not learn financial literacy.
Yeah.
Many of us didn't learn the real purpose of money. We had no one to teach us that, and so we carry those in wherever we go. But here's the thing: that creates that we got a leaky bucket, Gilbert.
Yeah. We do. We do. We
the,
do, man.
the problem is every dollar goes somewhere else.
Yeah. And not to our benefit at all. It's go to pay bills or some kind of obligation, child support or something. It's going somewhere. It's not going for something good. Now, what I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the Jewish thought. This is how they encourage and coach their youngsters. They
Mm-hmm.
said before you buy a house, you got to demonstrate that you have at least 20 or 30% of the down payment. Do you see what I'm saying? So in
Yes.
order to do that, you stay in the home and you work, work, work. You work in the family business and you work, work, work to generate that money. Or if you want, you can work outside of the family business, but you generate that money. That money goes in the bank. You still got to pay some rent where you live with your parents, but you're not going to pay full rent. You're going to
Right.
pay partial rent. And that alone should prepare you for that transition you're going to make in home ownership. So that's how they operate. I don't see us doing anything like that. You know,
No. No.
another thing, another part of, remember last week we talked about the six rules that the Black community instituted back in 1920. One of them was you don't give your children or the young ones in your family, you don't give them anything for free. They got to work for it. So if they work for it, then they're helping to generate more money for the group and the family. And then when they work for whatever it is, they pay for the service or pay for whatever it costs, they kept some of the money. So those are ways to keep that dollar recirculating in the community and it lives longer than 6 hours. So those, even when it comes to dating, co-hosts, when it comes to dating, the Jews, they tell their young sons that, listen, if you're going to date, you don't just go date just to have a good time. You date because that woman that you're going on a date with, you're going to try to ascertain whether or not she's a good fit for you. She'll be a good mother. She will be a good helpmate for you. She's going to help you to multiply what you have right now instead of having it being subtracted. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those are things they're telling their young sons, which I think is so amazing. We don't tell our young sons that. We're, oh, go boy, go have a good time, enjoy,
Right. We
And
dating
they,
with purpose that's
yeah,
called dating with purpose, Gilbert. That's
exactly.
identifying what you like about a woman and so forth, and
Right.
whether or not she's going to be a good helpmate,
Yeah.
especially in this day and age. It was sad. I was on a call yesterday with uh, our EC team, the entrepreneurial team at the Urban League.
Yeah.
So it's an even mix of ages, but we have a couple of young people, and so early we were having a conversation about houses here in the View Park in the Baldwin Hills area. Well, all the homes right now, I don't care what area it is astronomical for young people today. And so one of the young men, and now he actually happens to work in the VC marketplace. So, he's in the investment marketplace. So he's doing what he's supposed to do there. But he said, I don't even know how I can ever have this conversation about buying a house in California, and he's from New York, and he's from DC, in DC or Washington. Where I got to go, Idaho, and I felt so bad for him. But I told him, I said, you got to look at it differently. You got to buy. If you're gonna put that money together, you actually could get the first time buyers credit. There's lots of those workshops around. But don't buy an individual home right now. You need to buy investment property. Buy a duplex or a triplex. Get somebody to live in it. Buy a house that has an attachment to it, an ADU or something. Because now you have income property. And now the house is paying for itself, right? As opposed to you working 4 or 5 jobs just to pay for the house. It's different when we were younger. You could at least buy a condo. You can't even buy a condo today.
Can't buy a condo. and another thing that I would recommend, co-hosts, is that instead of them trying to foot this bill to purchase a home, a multiplex home by themselves, they can get somebody else to join in with them. 2 people buying a 4plex or something like that. So, rent is coming from 2 units for you. The rent is coming from 2 units for the other person,
Exactly.
So there's so many ways, man. We just need to start thinking creatively and winningly, to make this thing work.
Exactly. Because when we look at our ancestors, and we talked about this last week a lot, there was a lot of adversity for them to accomplish wealth. Because you had, as you and Leo was saying, you had redlining, you had when we had Black Wall Street, it was destroyed. And not just Black Wall Street in Greenwood, it's every place. There were multiple Black Wall Streets all across the countryside, and they were all destroyed. So there's been some challenges and difficulty as to why our wealth has not been accumulated and our wealth has been leaking in the bucket. But now we're highly educated, and I think we have to make some changes. We have to shift on what we've been doing to acknowledge that does not work. Now, what do we need to do to change that? And so, since we do have spending power of $2 trillion, that really we need to transfer that into an asset, right? It needs to become an asset, because right now it's a liability. We letting it go because we don't even use it to vote.
That's true.
You would think with $2 trillion that everybody we voted for would be in that office.
Yeah.
Right? Because $2 trillion is more money than most nations. We would be one of the wealthiest nations out there if we were a nation, if we were a country on our own. But however, what has happened is we're not utilizing that power that goes along with $2 trillion. There's a lot of power that goes with $2 trillion.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. I think the campaign, and not just us, but a lot of us, the campaign we should be running is how can we shift 10% of that 2.1 trillion into investments, into purchases, generating businesses or something like that. That's what we should do.
So let's calculate what the 10%, which we should be $210 billion. What is that?
I think it's 180 billion.
Yeah,
But
that's the yeah. If we're yeah. Yeah, well, I think what it is we're at 1.8 trillion, but by this year they're indicating,
oh,
and this is through the Nielsen's, that we'll be at $2 trillion. So we're gonna say
okay.
we halfway into to 2026. We only got 6 months left. By Christmas, I am sure we'll be at $2 trillion for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's that? 210, two hundred
Let's
and
see.
ten.
Have let's see, million two. All right, let's take it back. There we go. So 2.1 times 10%. Yeah, that's equivalent to 210 billion.
$1 billion, right? That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
That
210 billion, man.
yeah. So
We,
so so we need to make a shift. That's a lot of money, Gilbert. Or $210 billion is a lot of money.
it is a lot of money, man. Can you imagine if we shift that 10% and, be able to start doing some great economic development with that? Because we could we could set up homes,
Yeah.
and then we could set up some other things. And one thing that I'm looking at is like build a stadium, because the stadium, people are always going to go there. You're always going to make money on the stadium, you know,
Yep.
like
The
for
stadiums.
one, like for one of the favorite sports teams, you build a stadium for them. Now with LA, the Lakers could use their own stadium because right now they're renting from crypto. So, you see what I'm saying? Because they were at the Forum before, they didn't own that. They moved to Staples Center, they didn't own that. The Clippers got their own stadium though, and they're charging a lot to get into that stadium.
Oh yeah,
So
they do.
yeah, even the LA Football Club has their own stadium.
Oh yeah, they do.
Nice
They yeah
big
we
stadium. The Galaxy has their own stadium. The Lakers are the only one that don't have an arena for themselves.
to themselves. That says the Lakers on it, not the crypto on it. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is actually true, Gilbert. I hadn't thought of that one, but that's
Yeah.
good. But how about this? What if with that 10%, everybody, and this is all of us,
Uh-huh.
put in a 10% into a fund,
Yeah.
and so when businesses are started,
Yeah.
you do your all your now you create this incubator, right? and
Yeah.
and as we are all coaches, right, we're
Yeah.
teaching them how to set their businesses up properly, making sure that
Yeah.
the legalities and the structures are correct, and taking care of all the taxes are all set up the way they're supposed
Right.
to be cited, etc. Then in that fund, in that incubator, then you get, as you complete this course, you get money, funding, seed money. You complete
Yes.
this part of the course, you get seed money. You
Yeah.
complete this part of it, you go through. Let's say we go through bankable. Let's go through business readiness, bank bank loan readiness, and then we get the contract readiness, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
agree with that.
right, giving you, my 2-3 years for each one of them. By the time you get to 5-10 years,
Yeah.
now we didn't build up quite a bit of equity
Yeah.
in that fund, right? But the
Hmm.
business has to have certain criteria. The business has
Yeah.
to be scalable,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
business has to be able to be in the capacity to employ individuals so that now you can triple or quadruple your production.
Yeah.
It should be a business that is solving some major problem, not just a bakery business. Not no, it's got to have some legs to it, right? And businesses that can do contractual business with the states, the corporations, and so forth and so on.
Right. Right. And I would want that to be businesses that want to go after government contracts, because that's where they're going to more likely get a lot of these awards. I mean, having customers are good, but you're not going to get, like 100,000 customer coming together to buy your product or service just like that. But if you get
No.
a government contract for, say, 1 million or more, then now you can start putting away some of that money to pay back or to recontribute in that fund. You see what I mean?
Yep.
Kind of like that fund I was telling you about in Jamaica called a partner.
Yeah, the partner fund. Yeah,
Yeah,
you take a little bit out, but you got to
yeah,
put some back in, right?
yeah. Every week somebody gets a draw, and that person, the draw they're going to get is the maximum amount. So let's say there are 20 people in it, and each person is putting $10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got 20 times 10. That's going to be $200 right there.
Right.
But if there's more people, you end up getting 1,000 or more.
Right.
So
And then, right, exactly. Everybody's contributing too. And
yeah,
it might have to be, okay, first of all, we're working on business ownership, right? Because we need people to have substantial income. And
right,
then after that, we create another fund that's for home ownership, right? And
right,
so now we can get people into homes, and now we cook it, right? Because now we're working on the areas that really create the wealth.
yeah,
So, and then while you're growing your business, we're teaching you also within your business how to invest, right?
yeah,
So now
yeah,
you're creating personal wealth within your own home, and now you're growing your nest eggs, and
right,
you can retire. You got your pension plans and all that sort of stuff. You're also teaching your children financial literacy.
that's right.
Children got to go to work at 16 to help, so that if nothing else, just to learn what it is to work. Because nowadays children don't have a clue what that is like to work, because they've never had, their parents didn't require them to do that. In some cases, the parents didn't want them to have hardships.
Right, right.
so so
Unbelievable, man.
so that's where we are now. We are looking at starting to think differently, to create a different way of us moving forward. But now we got 200 and something $billion that instead of buying it from everybody else, now we do have to invest in those businesses so we can buy clothes from people that look like us. We can go
Yeah,
to supermarkets that look like us. We can
yeah,
have hotels that look like us. I'm all for buying airlines. Get into the place where if you're going to sell clothes, not onesie twosies, right? You want your own Ross, you want your own Macy's, you want your whatever it is. Bank, we have our own bank, so you can put your money in there and watch
yeah,
it grow. So then when we go to redirect those funds, Gilbert, now we're doing Black businesses. We're teaching you to invest.
yeah,
Land ownership, man, we need to be buying. Right now there are people buying blocks of land in the South
yeah,
and
yeah,
creating farms, and their whole families are now part of this homestead, right? And they're selling food to the markets and so forth and so on. Invest in those. Technology, man, we got to get it. We have to be in the technology space. That's
yeah.
the
We
that's the
have to.
future.
Yeah, we have to, man. And if those things can be realized by us, our group, man, we will be doing good.
Right.
Yeah,
And that cooperative economics,
yeah,
working together to
yeah,
build from within the community across the country. Now your that $2 trillion buying power, I don't see it in a positive. I see it in a really dark light.
yeah,
Now we move it over so it is positive. Now it's working for us, right? We're not at a place that if we have another 2007 housing crisis, we won't lose our property, right?
right.
And then this is the other part, Gilbert. When your parents have bought a home and now they're passing on, and they leave their house to you, the inheritance. You don't come sell it.
Yeah.
You rent it, right? And maintain that, because inheritance is what pushes people up the ladder. Family, if you can see this chart right here, this
Yeah.
is our inheritance, 33,000. Let's round up 34,000. This is their inheritance. This is a family with inheritance.
Wow.
But see, our inheritance is still low, because what happens is they get a piece of property, mom and dad dies. Well, I'm living on the East Coast now, so I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
sell that house.
Right.
But you're living in Georgia. Parents' house was in California, which
Mm-hmm.
is going to have the highest equity in it. The house in California, right? The house is, because the value is so much more in California than
That's
it
right.
is in your house in Georgia. So
That's
here
right.
you're sitting on wealth, and you sell it, and then some developer comes into the community and builds apartment buildings. So for those of you that don't live in Los Angeles or don't live in California, here's the issue that's been going on in California. During that housing crisis we had in 2007, 8, a
Yeah.
lot of houses came up on the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
The city invited in folks from other states and people from other countries to buy those houses as investors.
Yeah.
So then those investors came along, especially the multi units, and now they get a, and out of state they get a 10 to 15 year tax credit.
Yeah.
They had to allocate, and if they built new properties, they had to allocate 15-20% of that to the needy, or whatever they call it, the needy, which is $60,000 annual income, $60,000. And so, right at the present moment, Gilbert, we have over 96,000 empty apartments, and the only ones that are filled are the ones that they had to fill to meet the low income standard.
Wow.
And so the
96.
rest of those are debts. The rest of those, they're getting tax write-offs because they're tax loss. They're not making any money on it. And
Right.
that is why rent is so high in Los Angeles or in California. That's been going on across the world, but I heard it from the assessor's mouth that that's what they did during that time frame. They let them come in. So right now they're still inside of a 10-year or 15-year corridor where they're getting tax credits, they're getting debt loss, debt to loss credits for on their taxes, and in some cases they go back and they get their property taxes reassessed, and now they're making out like bandits. And for us, our people living on the streets or with
Yeah.
family members. So
And that's
that's
because they are long term thinking. We don't even think about anything like that.
right, exactly. So we can do technology, we could do AI startups, we could reinvest in our own communities, right? Have
Yeah.
some say so on who is going to be the politician that's running the city that you live in,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's unbelievable, man. I mean, the principles are there. People just don't want to apply them. So I guess we're gonna have to keep repeating until somebody start paying attention.
Yeah, we have to. So the future could be really beautiful, people, really beautiful. But there are things we have to do. So we need to connect our Black communities
Yeah.
for collective power. So that means our organizations, we need to work together. We shouldn't be working in silos. Um, we need to invest in our generational prosperity. This is for our children, our future of our children. We need to promote and all of us get on board with the truthful Black narratives. Tell our own story. Tell our own show. Do everything so that people see the value in who we are and what we do. And we need to shift the philanthropic paradigm to where we're reinvesting back into our own businesses.
I agree with you 150%, co-host.
So then we
But
can have some great conversation about what we're going to do, right?
yeah, we're only gonna get folks who are serious about this and really want to make a difference. Instead of those little fake ones you hear talk this good game, but nothing comes of it. Yeah.
No, we have to. Economic power is about ownership, creating jobs, creating our own influence, creating stability. Our people wouldn't be killed on the street if we took our $210 billion and shifted that power around, threw that
Yeah.
power around, man.
Yeah.
Nobody would be killing our children, right? So we got to look at reinvesting into our communities, creating our own housing developments where we know that the housing is affordable, that there's no backstory going on, no hidden things happening on behind the scenes that have nothing, that we don't even know what they're doing. Our own venture capital funds, community banks, creating banks that you could, because right now there's 2 Black banks in Los Angeles, but they're I think
They're
there's
not
7, there's
connected with the
40
Black
something
community,
across the
though.
country.
They're not committed. They're not connected with the Black community, huh?
Well, yeah, they are. One, I bank at a Black bank, and I bank, and I've always banked at a Black bank, and they've grown, and they actually, my bank merged in with Washington Black-owned bank, and so now they're both doing quite well. And I actually, the branch that I was with, or the bank that I was with, it actually is a public company. So I actually have stock in that company. So not only am I banking at a Black-owned bank, I am actually invested in that. So I'm a shareholder in that bank. And that gives you voice, right? You get to say stuff when you're a shareholder.
You can be at that table now, huh?
You can sit at the table. So be able to bring your chair to the table. Here's the other thing, Gilbert: media networks, right?
Yes.
Because we have this show so that we can tell our story. So we can talk to you guys, our people. You guys are our followers in our community. So we can tell you the truth about what we need to do.
Right.
Scholarship programs for our kids so they can go to college. Heck, own some colleges. Don't let there just be the few that's down in the South. Let there be multiple, and invest in them so that they get a good education. Agricultural ownership, being able to produce our own food, manufacturing companies, awesome. Gilbert, wouldn't you love to be able to go to a investor right now with Small Biz Pro, and they see that here you created this amazing program for small businesses to make sure that they're contract ready and they invest? I think you should be able to get about $5 million for your company. What would you do with $5 million investment in Small Biz Pro?
The first thing I would do is set up that little infrastructure, that that area that you talked about, putting together like a lab or an incubator. That's the first thing I would do. Second thing I would do, I would reach out to contract providers, have a sit down with them and see how we can get some of our small businesses connected with those types of resources. And then the third part of it would be to establish an alliance with the banks. We want about 2 or 3 banks in our portfolio, and then just work with them on trying to find the key that we're looking for.
Right. So now that system works, right? You don't just teach them and then they go away and nothing materializes. Right now you actually get to see the fruits of your labor because you can see them from the beginning all the way to the end and celebrate their contracts, you know, with the air with the air, LAX and
Yeah.
Metro and all the projects
Yeah.
that are going on right now.
Yeah.
We should have people in them.
Yeah, we should have people because we're training and preparing them the right way. A lot of the contractors that they have on many of those projects, they're not trained the right way. They don't even have a clue with regard to compliance and best practices. So that's where we stand apart, above and apart from those guys, because we're preparing these guys and we know what the heck we're doing. So that's the second part. Now, we did talk about the banks, right? But the reason we reach for the bank is we don't want to just spend all of our $5 million. If we can get them to do some commitment as well, they can commit to, 2 or 3 mil.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
Right, we're really good, right? So we have to develop principles. Dr. Claude Anderson, and I read this book Powernomics years ago, and that's some of the reasons that I wanted to have our media platform was because of Dr. Anderson. Because one of the things he said, uh, we have to own our own media. So, and I think Roland Martin talks about that. That's why he has TV One, is because that way no one controls what you say or how you do it.
Right.
You are controlling that, so no one can get you kicked off the air because they don't like what you're saying.
Right.
And for those in the entertainment business, some principles: owning your own masters, right? Don't let anybody else be, don't work for them, work for yourself. If you're putting the talent and the energy into that, that's on you, right?
Right.
God gave you that talent.
Yeah.
Group economics, Gilbert and I just talked about that, working together to help the whole entire community prosper, then it's beneficial for the whole entire community and our group and our race. Community love, embracing each other. That's old school. That's the partner plan, right? So if the neighbor down the street having problems, then the community love addresses it and helps those people. Businesses, black-owned businesses, supporting recycling black dollars, recycling
Yeah.
those dollars, taking that that $200 billion and putting it back into your own communities. Having digital assets, having assets, appreciable assets that you pay for. Buy your house, and then have your income property, but pay that off. Now
Yeah.
everything is coming to you.
Mhm.
Distribution, really big and important, being able to have companies that you are doing the distribution from a manufacturing level, not just uh, uh, putting your stuff on Shopify or in Amazon. You
Yeah.
be the Amazon, right? Because that's
Mhm.
what the distribution is, being in the Amazon.
Yeah.
Transportation, having your own transit, what you call it, uh logistics company, and then buying land, and
Yeah.
land may not be in the state, it could be anywhere you want it to be,
Yeah.
but
It could
it's
be anywhere.
yeah, but it's accessible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So guys, that is basically how we shift, how we go from being um
A
uh
group with high spending power to a
right,
group that's really saved their money and make, defined decisions.
right, exactly. So that's pretty much our story. We're sticking with today is we have to change how we think. We have to create action plans, where strategies that make sense. So we want to, one of those is supporting black businesses intentionally. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's certain things you can't find in our area. So my theory is, and it has been since I've been the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, is for every business that I buy from that they don't look like me, then I spend the same, if not more money in those that look like
Yeah.
me. And it's
That,
intentional. I support
that is great.
black business owners. I pay them. I don't look for the friends and family discount. I pay them what they're worth because I expect to be paid what I'm worth. Um So I don't even try to negotiate with folks. Is this your price? This is your price. And if I want it, then I spend it. That's how I do it.
Right.
Um, but we have to change our mindset. And then the other thing is learning how to invest. So
Mhm.
there are tons of classes to teach you how to invest in the stock market. And it
Yeah.
is one of the fastest way that you can increase your revenue, your income coming into your household. But there are programs out there. Invest in that. Invest in your education. Invest in new activities and new ideas that is going to help you do that.
Yeah.
Teach our children early. You guys know that's my passion. Teaching children to be
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, teaching people
Mhm.
financial literacy, how to in their childhood, so that by the time they become adults, they should be little mega millionaires.
Yeah.
Um, and then this is my favorite, and Gilbert knows this is my favorite. We cannot have one stream of income coming into our household.
Right. Right.
We
We
have to
gotta,
have
we
right,
gotta have 5 to 7.
right,
Yeah.
5 to 7. So
Right.
um whatever your working job is, some AI. Now you can make money with AI without even you don't even have to blink hard. There's tons of classes out there there's a class out there right now for $20 that will teach you how to make money with AI. That's a $20 investment. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
four Starbucks. Don't buy Starbucks next week. Invest in
E-
this
e-
class.
Even Starbucks, I was watching, I think it was CNN this morning. They too increased their cup of coffee. It's now $10, 9.99.
Right.
9.99. Starbucks cup of coffee, man. That's
So
great.
see, so that's two times. Look, you said $10 now.
Yeah.
That's 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
Eliminate that next week and go invest in the AI class for $20 so it can teach you how to make money. Consulting, that's what Gilbert and I do.
That's right.
It just take us something that your own talent, your own skill, your own special knowledge, and apply a price tag to it and teach others.
Mhm.
E-commerce, and then your intellectual property. Man, we are creating everything now.
Well, we're touching every category.
Right. So you really need to look at that. And then guys, this is to our people. We have to think legacy. We can't just think in the moment. We got to
Right.
think a legacy. We have to worry about us, and we have to worry about how we're going to continue this world and make this world a better place for our children. So
Yeah.
every financial decision you make should answer one question. Does this build long-term value?
This is unbelievable, man. I mean, we talk about these things, toss it around, but never really put together a comprehensive system like this before that can really lead small businesses, minority
Yeah.
small businesses, into a self-sufficient direction.
Yeah, we got to think substantive. We have to think that we want to increase. So these charts and things that are out there really make sense because if you have to see the numbers, right? If you can see the numbers, you can see where we stack up, then you will do better. But if we're not connected like that, we're not going to do better. We're going to be doing exactly what we've been doing, and
Yeah,
and this is a new day and a new time, and so we really truly have to do that. Now, yeah, our children, our millennials, our Gen Zs, we
yeah,
got to help them. But this one, we kind of talked about it earlier, Gilbert, and I
yeah.
just thought I'd throw it in there. This is to our folks that don't want to get married, hadn't thought about marriage.
Mm.
Married people make more money to live than single people do.
Wow. That's mind blowing.
Isn't that mind blowing?
That's mind blowing, man.
So we really need to rethink about that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So this is the distribution between, and this is Black demographic. And, you know, Nelson, um, there are people that make billions of dollars just on collecting our data. It's not us, but they collect our data. They study our data.
Yeah.
And that's why they're always so far ahead of us in our data.
We're not even paying attention. All we're doing
Right.
is bragging about things, bragging about all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yes, exactly.
But I think this is a good step one, though, a good part one
Yes.
to this financial situation. And in part two, we can come up with, recommendations and a call to action as to how we're going to meet with those folks and make this happen.
Exactly. So, a challenge for everyone out there listening to us, really start to think about, like that last statement, everything that you do, is it going to build long-term value? Now, businesses can bring long-term value, but you got to have a business that has the long-term reach.
Yeah.
So for those individuals that, and you and I both get this, Gilbert, all the time.
Yeah.
Individuals that, have, businesses that really don't have the capacity to grow, right? They're businesses that are seasonal, or they're businesses that are, okay, that's a great idea for this year. Next year, I won't have, nobody will be interested in that. So things like t-shirt businesses, unless you're going to be manufacturing the t-shirts,
Yeah.
t-shirt businesses and things like that. Guys, we got to really think of businesses that are identifying problems, and you have the solution for those problems. So we're gonna close out the show. But before I do that, Gilbert, I want to tell you. So speaking of businesses that have some bite to them.
Yeah.
So one of my young kids, he's 14 years old. He had a business idea when he first came into this institute this fall, and so about a week ago, he told me. I said, so when he showed me his slides, because he had to present on Saturday. I said, wait, this is not the business you started with. And he says, yeah, I changed the business. I said, well, why? We only got 2 days from the competition and 4 days from the competition. How you going to change the business? He says, well, that business wasn't sticky enough. Sticky? He said, yeah, it wouldn't stick. It wasn't going to go anywhere. Okay. Well, what did you come up in place of it? So he came up with his business idea is called the third place, and it's a business for those that have ADHD or any other issues like autism and so forth, where they have a difficult time socializing. So he's come up with a platform, AI type generated platform app, where they can go into that third place, because they have home, they have school, but they don't have the third place where they can talk about their feelings and learn to socialize. So even a 14-year-old knows you got to have a sticky business.
And understand that when a business is not going the way that it ought to, you reevaluate, and you can make the decision as to restructure it, regrow it,
Right.
and monitor it for a while, versus not doing any of those and end up, in the gutter where many of these other businesses are. So
exactly.
I think that will be a great challenge. So.
All righty. Well, Gilbert, that's our show today. We will come back, guys, next week with a part 2. Basically, we're just helping you guys see why it's so important that we start to engage. And we have to create a mindset that is about wealth, and it's about longevity, and it's about legacy, and it's about changing the marketplace, the place where we are. We don't have to worry about the distractions from the other side if we're worried about if we're supporting our own. So
Yeah.
to everyone, for all the mothers and the mother substitutes and surrogates, have a fantastic Mother's Day this weekend. Be safe
I
out
will.
there. And then for you too, we're celebrating Father's Day next month.
I'll be watching Netflix with my mom.
Okay, well, you do that. Well, have a great day, everyone, and we're going to sign off. You have been tuned into the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. Have a great weekend.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman.